Okay, I'm just gonna go, and then we'll see where we end up. There's a parsha in the Torah of Egla Rufa. Now, Egla Rufa is a spooky situation. The story is that there's a guy that outside of outside of a city, in the desert, in the wilderness, they find a dead person, a victim to homicide, and they don't know who did it. You don't know who the perpetrator is. So the Torah gives us I don't know how to work this thing. The Torah gives us an entire procedure. What you do? There's a ceremony that the elders of the town and the Kahanim come together and they take a calf and they do what they do. They wash their hands, and the elders say, the Zekanim say, Yodeinu lo yishafchu es adam hazeh ve'eineinu lo yirau. Our eyes, we didn't see this. Our hands didn't shed this blood, and our eyes didn't see. Ask the Gemara, who would think that the elders of town are murderers? Why do they have to come and sort of state their innocence, that we didn't kill? Usually you wouldn't assume that the elders are the suspects. So the Gemara says, Eineinu lo, that we didn't see this man, this victim, come to town, and therefore we didn't walk him out of town. But had we seen him, we would have definitely walked him out of town. Ask the Mashah that the Shir Levoya, right? When you have a guest, you have to walk him out. How much do you have to, how far do you have to walk him out? It says the Mashah, it says the Gemara, the Shir is Daladams. So, what's Pshat in this? Meaning, let's say you would have seen him. Best case scenario, a guy comes to town, you see him, and you walk him out. How far do you have to? You don't have to walk him to the next city. You don't have to walk him to his destination. You walk 8 feet, you go back home. This story happened a mile, 2, 3, 7 miles out of town. You wouldn't have been a help anyway. So my father has a vart. He says like this. Maral says that when a person is around other people, there's a certain confidence he has. There's a certain safety he feels. He's around company. He feels okay. He feels that if there's a threat, he has a support system. When he goes into the wilderness, outside of the city, so there are no people there, he's all alone. And in a situation where he's all alone, he's very vulnerable. Now let's go into the mind of this poor victim now. He came to town, he stayed there for a week, and nobody knows he's here. He's leaving town, nobody told him goodbye. And he's walking, and he's sitting with his loneliness, he's sitting with his melancholy, and then he gets held up. This person is vulnerable, he doesn't have anything. Says the Gemara that you think that when the lack of walking someone out of town is just, no, you didn't walk him as Daladamas. But the truth is that when a person is vulnerable and when a person is lonely and when they're themselves, if they don't know that they have a support system around them, then their lives are meaningless. This guy, what am I worth? This guy, you want to shoot me? It's a waste of a bullet. No one even cares that I'm alive anyway. I was just in town, matter of fact. You know where I'm coming from a town, and no one walked me out of town. No one cares. No one cares that I came. No one cares that I left. I don't mean anything to anyone. I might as well not fight for my life. If you bump into a person that's full of courage and full of meaning and he's motivated and he likes himself and he appreciates himself, and you come and you hold him up, you say, well, hold on, you can't kill me. My life is, I have a wife, I have kids, I have a family, I'm a big shot in the community. Do you know what? I just came at that. There's a confidence that gives a person the courage to fight. And when a person is in a completely lonely and vulnerable situation, they don't have the courage to fight. Therefore, if you are in the leadership position, if you're the Zakanim, we take the Zakanim out of town and we say, look, who creates the culture in this place? You have a city. Did you see this person in your town? How could you have a town where you let people walk out and nobody saw them? And when these people, that when their blood is shed 10 miles away, you think that you're innocent. If you have a town and where you can let people go without being seen, einenu lo yiro. That's why we bring down the elders. They should come there, and they should reckon with the murder. Everyone knows that something has to be done. It's obvious. Everyone has a friend. Everyone has a friend that's at Shiva that you just couldn't say anything by the Shiva. I have at least 3. One of them were a Talmud of mine. And I don't have that many Talmudim. Everyone knows something has to be done. But what could you do? Right? There's a tremendous problem. And I can't help anyone's problems. Right? So I think this is what's so special about what's going on over here is that I think that we understood something. I think we understood, when I say we, I mean you, that you don't have to walk someone to the other town in order to save his life. You don't have to walk him his whole journey. That's not what it's about. It's walking Daladamas. That's all it is. Because sometimes you say, look, I can't help this person's problem. The truth is you can't help this person's problem. This person's kid dropped dead. This person got divorced for the 4th time. His kids don't talk to him. You can't help these problems. You can't. And as long as we were thinking about helping people's problems, we couldn't walk them through the dark. And it takes a group of beautiful people like you who just understand that I don't have to walk this person to the other city. All I need to do is I need to give them the message that he's not alone. I need to give him the message that he's not walking in the darkness. I am walking with you. I'm holding your hand. You mean something to someone. I was thinking about this vort of my father's before I got here in the car. And I thought to myself that it's funny because if my father were alive today, I would tell him that a lot of things changed since he said this word. Because I think this word is almost backwards. Because I don't think people are lonely in the wilderness. Just the opposite. People are lonely in the city. Think about a time when, Rabbi Kotler, I live in Lakewood. So, how many years ago? 70 years ago. 70 years ago, you came to Rabbi Kotler and you tell them, look, Rosh Yeshiva, I want to join your yeshiva. Imagine the smile on Rabbi Kotler's face. There's hardly, 100 Bachram in the entire, there's 200 Bachram in the entire yeshiva system in America. 250 if you want to be nice. And you come to the yeshiva and you say, I want to join your yeshiva. He would hug you, he would kiss you. He would tell you thank you. He wouldn't ask you who your parents are. He wouldn't ask you if you're Sephardi or Ashkenazi, if you what shapely you are. He would just pick you up and he would just give you all the time of the day and tell you how much you mean to him, how much you mean to the future of Klal Yisrael. Then they would beg you that you should send your kid to from a yeshiva. Today, if you want to come at the yeshiva, the message is, we have 10,000 people without you. We don't need you. We don't need your kids. We don't need you. You're not good enough. You're not going to be good enough. We're taking you because you have a rich uncle, and that's about it. People are lonely in the city. People are lonely. When you come out of town, my grandparents should be well in Milwaukee to 120. You come out of town, everyone loves you. You mean something to someone. You're not just a barcode. You're not just a number. You're a person. The lonely people today, we're surrounded with so many people. our existence is so redundant. If we're going to be, I'll tell you the truth. I shouldn't say this, but I just have no self-control. I came here a little early. I went to visit my brother, my younger brother. I love him to pieces. My younger brother, he's a gewaltige cynic. He's just a good person to be around. Anyway, so I told him that I came to speak. There's a helpline. So he tells me, so you're going to tell people why life is worth living? So I said, no, the volunteers do that. I don't do that. I'm just coming to talk to the volunteers. And I see him smirking. This is a true story. I'm not making this up. This happened 20 minutes ago. He's like smirking, and I'm saying, don't say it. Don't say it. And he's like, well, is life really worth living? And he said, you be honest. You know, let's have this conversation. I'll tell you what I told him. I told him, now don't try this if you have a phone call. I told him, you're right. Life is redundant. The truth is, humanity is tremendously redundant. It's just the same person again and again 7 billion times. And yeah, it's just pretty meaningless. There's nothing you could do that someone can't do better than you. Probably in China or India. But look at your little baby. Right? You have a son. He's running around there making a racket. Is he redundant? To me, he's redundant. But to you, he isn't. Because you don't value him for his genius. You don't value him for his input. You don't value him from anything. You just love him. To the contrary, if you meet a parent that loves his child because of his output, then you feel uncomfortable. It's cringy, right? When you hear just stop it. That's not your relationship. Your relationship with your child is because he's your child. You just love him, and you don't have to explain it to anyone. You don't owe any explanations to anyone. His life could be redundant to every single person in the world, but to you, he's your whole life. And that's how we have to look at each other. And the problem is that if we're going to be honest, living in a city with a tremendous amount of people, by default makes you feel redundant. And it's a miserable feeling. And you don't mean anything to anyone. That's why you have people that have room in their hearts. Now, think about it. Think about it like this. People that do things for other people altruistically, there are a lot of motives involved. There's fanfare, there's recognition. Everyone knows the Rambam. Shmoyne Mailas. I'll tell you the truth. I'm not being officially recorded. Don't get just don't. It's not my aunt, not anyone else. Okay. I never speak about this just because I have this complex. I'm a kidney donor. Now, no, don't. Look. Now I had this dilemma. I was a match, and I asked my Rebbe. I said, look, to be honest, there's a lot of, I'm not doing this for the right, I didn't say I'm not doing it, I just, you never know if you do something, even if it's you never know if you're doing something for the right reason. He kicked me out of the house because he told me that it's a completely self-absorbed way of looking at giving, why are you even thinking about yourself? And it doesn't make a difference what you think, whatever. I'm just not going to go in, I'm not going to go there. But anytime you do something, that big, obviously, right? The bigger the whatever it is, the more recognition you have, right? You wanted to clap here, right? You give recognition. You have you give $1 million and your name is on a building. Sitting with an annoying pest for 18 hours on the phone, and he doesn't even give you the feeling that you just saved someone's life because the guy's just a nudge. There's a story with Satmarov. Someone came to Satmarov collecting, and he said this whole sob story that his wife is very sick and he has kids and they have medical bills and these stuff. A whole long story. And Satmarov cried with him and gave him a nice check. As this guy, he left, Satmarov's Gaba walks into the room and he said, "Who did the Rebbe just give this money to?" He said, "So and so." He said, this guy's a con artist. He's a ganav. I know the story. His wife is, everyone's healthy, everything is good. The whole story never. Satmarov says, "Oh, shkoich for telling me. I was so worried." If you're there because you wanna get the recognition, then giving money to someone who doesn't really need it doesn't feel good. But if you have the ability to sit down and nobody knows what you do, you're by a simcha, you can't even tell anyone that you have this cool job. It's not cool. And you're just sitting with people every day, and many of them are not even suicidal, and you're just talking to them and walking them through the night. You deserve a round of applause. My cousin, I have a cousin that lives in Antwerp. In Antwerp there's a Rebbe, Reb Leibish. So my cousin, he's a Rav, and he's close to Reb Leibish. And recently he told me the story. He went to his Rebbe and he tells him that he has a problem. People come to him and they kvetch about their life and he can't help them. It's just that people have these big, huge problems in their life and I can't do anything to help these people. And I don't know what to do. Right? These are complicated stories, difficult people, difficult situations. They need a Rebbe. They don't need me. They need a Rebbe. I'm not fit for this. And his mom is sitting there and kvetching, and Rebbe Leibish says, "You know what? Every time you have a case that you feel you can't handle, when something's too big for you, come to me, put it on my table." It's gewaldig. It's like he has an open door. And now he just could dump everything, he could kick the can down the road. Few feelings as good as that. Gewaldig. He walks out of the room, and as he's about to walk out, Rebbe Leibish says, "Lazy, you feel better?" She says, "Yeah." She says, "Why do you feel better?" Nothing changed. She says, "Yeah, but I know that I could come to the Rebbe and I could just put my problems down and they're finished." He says, "That's exactly what people need. They don't need you to solve their problems. They don't need anything. They just need to have where to come and dump their problems down." So, as I don't even know if difficult. I guess it's only difficult when you're not the type of person, because I don't know if I could do it. But for a person that could sit and talk to people and walk them through their hardships, I see it very much like engineers. Right? Engineers, when you're driving on a bridge, the last person you want to think about is an engineer. When you're sitting in the 85th floor in the Twin Towers or whatever it's called, you don't want to think about the engineer. Because people that design infrastructure don't get recognition. This silly interior designer that just ordered tiles somewhere is going to get all the recognition. So, there's no recognition coming your way. And because the recognition you get is from a job well done and from being there, from being infrastructure. You know that we were all screaming, we were all crying, something has to be done. Someone has to do something. And people are still screaming someone has to do something, but they're walking on your bridge. So, all I'm here to tell you is that you should recognize and appreciate that the Zikanim in the entire Klal Yisrael need all these malavim. They need all these malavim that can walk people through. We as a community, we can't survive without malavim. We need people to walk other people out of town, walk people through their loneliness, walk people through their darkness, walking them with understanding that you're not there to solve their problems. You're there, and it's so much harder because everyone comes in with this attitude that you want to make everyone's problems better. I'm coming from a shiva home. Horrible story. Horrible story. I'm not going to weigh you down with the story. I'm coming now from a shiva home. And I sit there and you think about it. If I were to solve his problems, I can't solve his problems. I can't. This person has problems that beyond no human being. There's no way. How am I supposed to solve his problems? Now the truth is, why are you such an egomaniac? Why are you thinking that you have to solve his problems? You don't have to solve anyone's problems. You're here as a brother. You're here as a sister, as a support system. You're here to hold someone's hand while they walk in the dark. You're not turning on the lights. And when we have such a system, when we have Heilig Yidden that could give away hours of their day without getting any recognition or return, these are the Yidden who keep Klal Yisrael running. Thank you so much. Hashem should repay all of you that your families, your children, the people, your loved ones should never need to call such a helpline. And they should always be able to give assistance and give support. And Hashem should just bestow upon you chesed and toiv and everything that you give his children.
Thank you.